You think a woman gets turned on by your abs, your status, your achievements. You think she reacts to your gym photos, your success, your confident walk. You're convinced desire is logic, that if you're good enough, she'll feel it. But no, female desire is chaos, dark, bodily, ancient chaos that has nothing to do with rational thought. A woman doesn't get turned on by muscles, or money, or status. She gets turned on by the feeling that she's in front of a man her body surrenders to, even if her mind didn't plan to. Yes, her body, not her brain, not her logic, not her type. And here's the part most men never understand. A woman can tell herself she doesn't want you. She can say you're not her style, not her category, not what she's looking for. But her body already gave her away. Her breathing isn't steady anymore. Her voice gets softer. Her eyes linger a second too long. Her knees shift slightly towards you without permission. This is the moment most men never recognize. True female arousal begins the moment you stop trying to impress her and start being the kind of man whose presence makes her lips part just a little, even if her face stays neutral. This isn't about harsh dominance. This is about an internal energy that undresses her without you ever touching her. How you stand, how you look at her, how you speak, the pauses that make her feel exposed, even fully clothed. A woman isn't turned on by a man's body, but by the feeling that next to him, her own body stops obeying her mind. Here's what men almost never understand. A woman gets turned on when someone sees her deeper than she sees herself. When you see the things she hides behind her jokes, behind her confidence, behind her eyes. When you can feel her desire before she lets it spill into the room. And the strongest part? When you don't rush. When every part of her feels, he wants me, but he doesn't need me. That contrast drives her insane. It's the moment her voice shifts. When she moistens her lips without realizing it. When she laughs just a little softer than usual. That's no longer flirting. That's the beginning of her losing the fight against her own desire. The biggest mistake men make is assuming women get turned on by perfection. No, she gets turned on by danger, contrast, psychological depth, emotional tension, by the feeling that her imaginary boundaries are starting to crack, that she wants you more than she meant to. Well, you just watch quietly. That's what really turns a woman on. That's what men almost never figure out. And this is only the beginning.
Most men think a woman gets turned on gradually, like a slow burning candle. But that's not how it happens. Desire in a woman doesn't grow in a straight line. It snaps. There is always one moment, one exact second, when something in her shifts and she feels that sharp, involuntary pull toward you. It's not romantic. It's not soft. It's raw biology hijacking her composure. And it always starts the same way. She tries to look calm, but her body betrays her. A woman can control her words, her smile, even her attitude, but she cannot control the subtle changes that happen when her attraction crosses the line into physical longing, the kind that spreads under her skin like heat. This is the moment most men never see. But once you learn to recognize it, you will never unsee it. It begins with tension, not the kind you feel in an argument, the kind that vibrates in the air when her body starts responding to your presence before she consciously admits why. It's the way she inhales a little deeper when you speak, the way her shoulders relax when you lean just a bit closer, the way her fingers suddenly have nothing to do, so she touches her bracelet, her glass, her hair, anything to release pressure. She isn't trying to be seductive. She's trying not to look overwhelmed. Because real desire doesn't feel safe to her. It feels dangerous, unpredictable, like something she can't fully control. And that's exactly why she wants it. Her mind is built to analyze you. Her body is built to react to you. And when her body wins, she starts betraying herself in ways no woman can hide. Here's what actually happens when a woman feels that physical pull. She stops listening to your words. Not completely, she hears them, but they aren't what she's reacting to anymore. She's reacting to how you say them, how your voice vibrates in her chest, how your presence presses lightly against her boundaries. She feels the way your eyes hold her. She feels the weight of the silence between you. She feels the shift in her own breathing. And then the subconscious movements begin. Her neck becomes more exposed. She angles her body toward you without realizing it. Her legs uncross and recross, but slower now. She leans in not to hear you better, but because her body wants to be closer, even if her mind isn't ready to admit it. These details are not flirtation. They are instinct. A woman's body prepares itself long before she ever lets herself act on anything. You're not watching flirtation. You're watching surrender forming molecule by molecule. Most men chase a woman's attention, but a woman's desire isn't in her attention. It's in her stillness. If she suddenly gets quieter around you, if her sentences become shorter, if she listens too closely, that's not indifference. That's focus. That's tension building in places she will never say out loud. When she starts losing the ability to play it cool, that's when her attraction becomes physical. That's when she starts imagining you. That's when the real switch flips. Because here's the truth no woman will confess. A woman gets turned on not by what you do to her, but by what she feels happening to herself when you're near. The heat in her stomach, the pressure in her chest, the softness in her voice, the thoughts she isn't supposed to have, the urge she tries to hide behind a calm face. And if you know how to stay composed while she fights herself, if you let the moment breathe instead of chasing it, you give her something she cannot resist. You make her feel not safe, not understood, not appreciated, wanted. Wanted in a way that bypasses her logic and wakes something deeper, something primal, something she can't control even if she tries. That's what really turns a woman on. And we're only getting started.
There's a moment in every woman's desire that almost nobody talks about. A moment more intimate than touch, more powerful than flirting, more revealing than anything she'll ever admit out loud. It's the moment her imagination gets involved. Because once a woman starts imagining you, the game is already over. She has crossed a line she can't uncross. Most men think physical closeness is what turns a woman on. But physical closeness is nothing compared to the closeness she starts feeling in her mind. That's where the real fire begins. You'll notice the shift before she does. She starts looking at you differently. Not with friendliness, not with curiosity, with awareness. Her eyes don't just meet yours, they stay there a little too long. Her breath isn't just steady, it changes when you lean closer. Her voice isn't just soft, it tries to cover something she doesn't want slipping out. This isn't politeness, this isn't charm. This is a woman trying to keep her thoughts under control and failing. Because once her body reacts to you, her mind follows. And when her mind follows, she starts imagining things she would never dare speak. Not fantasies about romance or dates. Fantasies about how it would feel if you stood closer, if your hand brushed her waist, if your breath touched her neck, if you said her name a little lower, a little slower, the way she secretly wishes you would. She starts imagining the way your presence would press against her resistance. How easily she'd give in if you didn't rush, if you just let the tension build until she couldn't hold her own composure anymore. Women pretend they don't think like this, but they do. Every woman does. And the more she tries to hide it, the hotter it burns. Here's the truth men miss. A woman gets more turned on by what she thinks you might do than by anything you actually do. Her imagination is your greatest ally, if you know how to trigger it. The way you pause before speaking,
the way you look at her without apology, the way you take your time when the whole world rushes. These things don't just attract her, they invade her mind. Suddenly, she's not listening to the room. She's listening to her own heartbeat. She's aware of her own skin. She feels her body warming in places she tries to ignore. She shifts in her seat. She touches her own wrist, her clavicle, the side of her neck, not to tease you, but because she's trying to ground herself. She's imagining your hands there instead. And once a woman imagines your hands on her, she's already yours, long before you ever touch her. Most men think desire is about doing something. It isn't. It's about creating a moment she can't stop thinking about. A moment she replays later when she's alone. A moment that returns at night when the world gets quiet. A moment she remembers in her stomach, not her mind. A moment where she wasn't just attracted, she was affected. Because the most erotic thing you can give a woman isn't a compliment, isn't attention, isn't even touch. It's a feeling she can't control, a thought she can't shake, a pulse she can't steady, a heat she can't hide, an image she didn't expect but can't forget. That's the moment her desire becomes dangerous. Not for you, for her. Because once she starts craving the way you make her feel, logic is gone. Resistance is gone. Control is gone. This is where real attraction becomes hunger. And she's the one fighting it, not you.
There is a point every woman reaches where pretending becomes impossible, a moment when she is no longer playing a role, no longer controlling the situation, no longer holding herself together. This is the moment her desire becomes visible. Not obvious, not vulgar. Visible. The moment when her body stops asking for permission from her mind. Most men never get to witness this shift because they move too fast, talk too much, or try too hard. But the man who knows how to let the tension work on its own, he sees everything. It usually begins with silence. Not the empty, awkward kind, the charged kind. The kind where she suddenly has too much awareness of the space between you. Her sentences get shorter. Her eyes don't wander as much. She tries to act normal, but the normal disappears. She doesn't tell you she's turned on. Her body already is. She shifts closer by an inch, not enough to look intentional, but enough to feel. Her breathing deepens in moments she doesn't think matter. Her lips part when you're not speaking, but when you're simply there. Her thighs press together for just a second too long, not dramatically, instinctively. She tells herself she's just adjusting her posture. She's not. She is responding to the pressure building inside her, a pressure you didn't force, a pressure you created just by existing the right way. Men think women hide their desire well. They don't. They only hide it from men who don't know what to look for. But the man who reads her body language truly reads it, sees everything she's trying to bury. The small tremor in her breath when your hand passes too close to hers, the way her eyes drop to your mouth when you pause mid-sentence, the gentle arch of her back when she lets herself relax around you, the second she tucks her hair behind her ear, exposing her neck without realizing why it feels satisfying. These are not accidents. These are biological signals, the signals that her body has moved into a state of arousal she is trying and failing to hide. And the most dangerous shift of all, she stops evaluating you and starts anticipating you. She is no longer wondering who you are. She's wondering what you will do, how close you will stand, how your voice will sound if you lower it, how her skin will react if you lean a little closer. Her imagination is writing the script faster than she can censor it. This is where women become vulnerable, not emotionally, physically, vulnerable to their own desire. She doesn't want to look obvious. She doesn't want to look eager. She doesn't want to make the first move. But she wants something to happen.
something she cannot ask for in words, something she can only express in the way her pupils darken when you meet her eyes, in the way she stands just a bit too close when she pretends she needs to pass by you, in the way her voice lowers without her noticing, in the way she breathes like she's trying to keep her composure from slipping. This is the point where her body has already made the decision for her. But you haven't touched her, you haven't rushed her, you haven't broken the moment. And that is exactly why she wants you more. Because nothing turns a woman on as intensely as a man who knows how to control a moment she feels losing control of. She's no longer choosing you with logic, she's choosing you with instinct. And instinct never lies. This is the threshold, the part where attraction turns into craving, where her body is no longer neutral but charged, where the air around you shifts from warm to heated, and what happens next is determined by only one thing: whether you know how to read the desire she is no longer able to hide. Because the moment her composure slips, the moment her breath betrays her, the moment her eyes darken with something deeper, that's the moment she gives you silent permission. Not in words, not in gestures, in the way she finally stops fighting what she feels. We've reached the edge. Now we enter the part of desire most men never get to see.
There is a moment, subtle, brief, but earth-shaking, where a woman stops resisting her own desire. Not because she chooses to, but because she can't hold it anymore. Men think a woman decides to give in. She doesn't. Her body decides long before her mind ever catches up. And when that moment comes, it shows itself in the smallest, most revealing ways. It begins with stillness, not the calm kind, the charged kind, the kind that wraps around the two of you like a closed room no one else can enter. Her breath steadies, but only because she's trying not to show how fast her pulse is running. Her eyes meet yours, and instead of looking away, she holds the gaze. That is the break. That is the surrender. A woman who is still deciding will avoid the moment. A woman who has already decided will let herself feel it. She no longer hides the softness in her voice. She no longer hides how close she stands. She no longer hides the tremor in her inhale when you move even slightly closer. It's the moment when the world behind you disappears for her, when her attention narrows to just one thing: you. Women don't say what they want at this stage. They show it. In the way her fingertips hover near yours without touching. In the way her lips part like she's preparing to say something but doesn't. In the way her chest rises just a little deeper when your voice drops half a tone. You haven't touched her, but she feels touched. You haven't whispered anything intimate, but she hears it anyway in the silence. This is the point where her mind stops arguing and starts wanting, where she stops thinking about whether she should want you and starts feeling how badly she does. And the truth is simple. A woman's desire is never louder than when she is trying to pretend it's not happening. What happens next is what separates men who understand women from men who never will. Because this stage is not about doing more, it's about doing less. It's about letting the moment breathe until it becomes almost unbearable. If you rush, the spell breaks. If you hesitate, the heat collapses. If you try too hard, she retreats back into her head. But if you stay composed, calm, grounded, present, something powerful unfolds. She steps into the space you leave open. A small lean forward, so subtle most men would miss it. A shift of her hips toward you. A breath that escapes softer than she intended. A look at your mouth she tries to hide but can't. She's no longer hiding her desire. She's waiting to see what you do with it. Not because she needs you to take control, but because she needs to feel that you can. That's what turns a woman on more than anything else. A man who can handle the moment she is no longer able to handle herself. Here's the truth about a woman's deepest desire. It's not about touch, not about words, not about physical closeness. It's about losing control in front of a man who never loses his.
A woman wants the experience of wanting. She wants the tension, the anticipation, the hunger that builds in silence. She wants to feel the moment stretch until it feels dangerous. She wants the man who can read her breath, her body, her hesitation, her craving, and knows exactly when to lean closer, when to pause, when to say nothing at all. Because nothing turns a woman on more than a man who doesn't rush her desire, but makes her desire rush toward him. This is the real truth most men never figure out. A woman doesn't fall for the man who touches her body. She falls for the man who touches her desire. A man who makes her feel things she can't hide. A man who sees the moment she breaks and doesn't misuse it. A man who lets the heat build until she can't pretend anymore. That is what really turns a woman on. Not perfection, not performance, not power. Presence. The kind of presence that makes her forget where her resistance ends and where her wanting begins. And when she reaches that point, when she finally lets herself feel everything she's been trying to hold back, there is no going back.